the BRICS currency is really about cross-border trading, everything being traded and atomically traded, right? Which means that as soon as a transaction happens, everything settles. So I know they want to tokenize everything. I'm sorry, but I don't really see the BRICS system to be a whole lot different, because I don't see the governments over there taking better care of their citizens and the citizens having a whole lot of freedom than there are anywhere. But they want us to think it's them against us, so that you have a common enemy and it's divide and conquer. And I want to do just the opposite. Everybody here wants the same thing. They want to have a safe place to live, raise their family, have opportunities, have real opportunities. The unit, it's supposed to be 40% back, but again, not convertible. It is so key that people understand the difference, because what is pegging? Pegging is just using the manipulated price of the spot markets anywhere. So I don't really view it, frankly, as them or us. I think that whatever country truly comes out with a gold-backed currency, that you and I as a citizen, if we don't like what we're seeing them do on Capitol Hill or anywhere in government, you walk in with one currency, you pull the gold out of the system. That's what creates those restrictions. That's what I think we need to really be fighting for, not just having a government say, well, this currency is backed by gold. Because how do you prove it? How do you really prove it? How do you know how much gold is in Fort Knox? It doesn't mean anything.
It hasn't been audited since the Eisenhower administration, yeah.
So, and it hasn't changed even 1/16 of an ounce. So how do you know? So yeah, I don't view that as a huge threat. Definitely power is shifting. But I say, let's take our power back. Let's have it shift in the right direction. Not from one bad government to another bad government, but from the government to the people. The Constitution supported the people first, and then the state's job was to uphold and support the public. And then the federal government's job was to support the states who were supporting the individuals. It's been all turned upside down. Let's turn it back. And for me, it's not about prices. I want to protect and preserve my purchasing power. So really, really good point is that this is completely outside of the system. That's why no matter what other choices you make, if you have those intangible assets, and you know, there are a lot of people that believe in the cryptocurrencies. I believe that they are here to stay, but that they are a Trojan horse so they can make this shift, right? Because that's how they do it. They keep things looking as normal as possible. But gold and silver in your possession is virtually invisible. It's virtually invisible. Nothing else is invisible. And what they have in mind for it takes even that, if you allow that, and makes it more accessible, which means what do governments want? Taxation. They're talking about having the ability to do lifetime taxation. You need things that are just, you hold it, you own it, it has the broadest base of buyer. That's the other thing, right?
Let's begin with the basics. You may have heard that digital currencies and blockchain-based tokenizations are revolutionizing every market by settling transactions instantly. That's true. The idea is that every asset is traded atomically and every transaction settles in real time. On paper, this promises efficiency and transparency. But what it really does is mask the true transfer of wealth from the people to those in power. In today's engineered financial system, governments and central banks promise us progress while tightening their grip on every aspect of our money. They present us with the illusion of choice and stability, while behind the scenes, the BRIC currency is just another way to centralize power. Now, I'm not here to throw shade at innovation. After all, technology has given us so many tools for progress. But let's be honest, the tokenization of everything isn't a magic bullet for the systemic problems of our economy. It's a clever Trojan horse. The same digital platforms that claim to empower you can, in reality, serve as instruments of centralized control. Think about it. When a government insists on a digital currency backed by manipulated spot market prices, it's really only enforcing its control over your hard-earned dollars. how do we know the true value of what's backing it? When even Fort Knox's reserves haven't been properly audited since the Eisenhower administration, it's hard not to question the authenticity and transparency of the system. Consider this. Whenever the establishment says this currency is backed by gold, it's nothing more than a manipulated peg. They use the price of gold on spot markets, markets that can be influenced by a few key players, to create the illusion of stability and trust. But in truth, the only real security lies in the physical possession of gold and silver. These are assets that have a universal appeal. They transcend borders, governments, and technological shifts. Unlike digital tokens, which are at the mercy of software and central authorities, physical gold and silver remain untouched by political whims and market manipulations. You see, when you hold gold or silver, you become your own central banker. Imagine that, having complete control over an asset that the government can't simply magically tax or seize because it exists outside the traditional banking system. This isn't just about having a backup plan. It's about actively reclaiming the power that has long been usurped by centralized authorities. We must shift the balance from one bad government to the power of the people. Our Constitution was designed to support the individual, with the state acting as the custodian of public interest, not the opposite. Let's get a bit personal here. I've often joked that if you ask your bank to look out for your best interests, you might as well ask that same bank to build you a bridge in Brooklyn, because chances are it's not really happening. In a system where your financial security is tied to government-backed fiat, you're at the mercy of policies and decisions made by those who are miles away from your day-to-day struggles. But with gold and silver in your possession, you have a shield. It's a shield that not only preserves your purchasing power, but also insulates you from the wealth transfer mechanisms embedded in our current economic system. It's worth noting that this isn't a call to reject all forms of innovation. Cryptocurrencies, for instance, are here to stay. They're simply another tool in the grand financial toolkit. Yet they are a Trojan horse precisely because they mask the fundamental shift of wealth. When governments or central banks force you to trade everything into digital tokens, they're effectively centralizing the entire system. This can lead to extreme measures like lifetime taxation or even the erosion of personal financial privacy. Gold and silver, by contrast, are invisible assets. They're not immediately visible on a digital ledger that the government can scrutinize. They're physical, tangible, and timeless. I want to share an example with you. Consider the broad functionality of gold and silver. These metals are used in every single sector of the global economy. From electronics to jewelry to medical equipment, their intrinsic value is recognized worldwide. No other asset can claim to have such a broad base of demand. This universal acceptance is what makes them so special. It's not just about their historical value, it's about their practical, everyday utility that continues to endure even as other forms of value storage fade away. And let's have a little fun with this idea. Imagine if your next family reunion wasn't about comparing bank balances, but about comparing how many troy ounces each person is holding. I can already see the humorous debates over, is your silver purer than mine? Or, did you invest in 24-karat gold or just the 18-karat variety? It's a lighthearted reminder that while we laugh, the stakes are very real. Our financial independence isn't a game. It's the foundation of our future prosperity. Now let's bring in some external insights. Renowned economists and market analysts have long championed the idea of gold as a hedge against inflation and a safeguard in turbulent times. For example, articles in financial journals and major newspapers like Forbes and Bloomberg consistently report on the importance of diversifying one's portfolio with physical assets, especially when the conventional financial system shows signs of stress. Even Twitter feeds from influential voices in finance remind us, when the bubble bursts, only the tangible remains. These messages echo what I'm saying today. True wealth is in the assets you hold in your own hands.
This is used, both of these gold and silver are used in every single sector of the global economy. Well, let's think about that. What that means is you have the broadest base of functionality and the broadest base of demand. You tell me any other asset that does that. There isn't. So you become your own central banker, right? You're going to count on them to look out for your best interest, because if you are, I have this bridge in Brooklyn that we could discuss, right? It doesn't happen. They're not going to look for your best interest. You have to do that. But that also comes together with community, right? And the importance of community, because we are not an island. We are really all together on this planet, and coming together, we have the power, we have the strength. But yes, gold and silver in your possession maintains your ability to purchase, because this is a wealth transfer mechanism. If you have everything in fiat money, you will not be able to take advantage of the opportunities that will arise when this debt bubble becomes, it's already popped, when it becomes apparent. But there are opportunities ahead for those that are holding physical gold and silver outside of the system. Be one of them. Don't let those that are in power have all of the opportunities. Being a catalyst is the inflation and the public waking up, because these global central banks have shifted their policy and actually been accumulating gold since 2005, which I think is rather interesting because nobody noticed it until 2010. But of course, it was the crisis that made it apparent to everybody. So I think for the public, we've got more younger people that are coming into the gold and silver market, which is so inspiring to me, because it's not us old people that are going to create this revolution. It's the younger generation that will do that. So I think that's also a catalyst for silver. And you know, silver, most undervalued metal. Look, these markets are not a place where you can get any level of good price discovery. Everything has been turned into a trade. If you think when you pay your utility bill that's actually supply and demand, think again. When you go to the grocery store and you buy your food prices, everything is being guided by traders. That's how the banks make most of their money these days, not from lending, but from trading. So I think that it'll be the inflation, because I think this year we're going to see a lot more and a lot faster inflation, and the public starts to notice it. So I think it's public buying that's going to push it, because central banks have been buying and accumulating it for a long time. But the other thing that I'd like to point out is, if it's so many people are manipulating these markets, why don't we still have $400 gold and $5 silver? So I think that is an indication of an expanding market. And that actually gives me a whole lot of hope.
As we move further into the digital age, governments and financial institutions are quick to tout the benefits of blockchain, tokenization, and instantaneous settlements. They paint a picture of a seamless, efficient world where every transaction is recorded, monitored, and ultimately controlled. But let's pause for a moment and consider the trade-offs. While these digital mechanisms offer unprecedented speed and convenience, they also come with hidden costs, a loss of privacy, a relinquishing of autonomy, and the very real risk of government overreach. Imagine a world where every cent you earn, every dollar you save, is tracked by an invisible eye. When everything is digitized, it's not just your assets that become transparent. The whole system becomes vulnerable to manipulation. Consider the phrase, if you're not in control of your money, who is? This isn't just a rhetorical question, it's a call to action. The true power lies in holding tangible assets like gold and silver. These metals have stood the test of time. They do not require digital validation or government-imposed safeguards. Instead, they exist as physical tokens of wealth that cannot be erased by a system crash or a political decree. Let's put it another way. Digital currencies may be the shiny new toy, but gold and silver are the seasoned veterans. When a bubble bursts or when policies suddenly shift, the tangible nature of these metals provides a layer of security that digital tokens simply cannot match. Even as many experts on Twitter, such as at Gold Rocks and at Real Asset Guard, remind us that when the bubble pops, only the tangible remains. It's clear that the enduring value of these metals is recognized worldwide. Now you might be thinking, Lynette, this is all well and good, but what does it mean for me on a daily basis? It's about more than just holding assets. It's about fostering a community that values independence, resilience, and true freedom. We are not isolated islands in this vast economic ocean. Our strength lies in our ability to come together, share insights, and support one another as we navigate an increasingly complex financial landscape. When you decide to invest in physical gold and silver, you're not only safeguarding your purchasing power, you're also joining a global community of like-minded individuals who are determined to take back control. This isn't about creating an us versus them mentality. It's about recognizing that our future does not have to be dictated solely by distant governments or faceless institutions. Instead, it can be built on the very principles that our founders envisioned, a system where power flows from the people to the institutions that serve them, not the other way around. Consider the story of a small town that, in the wake of economic uncertainty, decided to collectively invest in a community vault filled with precious metals. This vault wasn't just a repository of wealth, it was a symbol of their shared commitment to financial self-reliance. Over time, as the global economy shifted and digital currencies faltered under the weight of excessive control, this community emerged as a beacon of stability. Their wealth wasn't tied to the whims of external policies, and they found that their collective action provided not only economic security, but also a sense of empowerment and unity. Let's take a moment to envision what the future could look like if more of us took control of our financial destiny. Picture a world where, instead of being passive recipients of policies crafted by distant bureaucrats, we are active participants in shaping our economic future. In this future, communities are not defined by the limitations of centralized currencies, but by the tangible wealth they create and sustain through mutual support and collective action. It's not hard to imagine a scenario where, when faced with economic challenges, communities across the globe rally around their physical assets. The conversation shifts from, "What is the government doing to help me?" to, "What can I do to help myself and my community?" In such a scenario, gold and silver become not just commodities, but symbols of a new era, one where the power of the individual is amplified by the strength of the collective. In fact, many financial historians have noted that periods of economic reform and progress are often preceded by moments of collective awakening, when people begin to realize that true wealth is not merely a number on a digital screen, but something they can hold in their hands. A profound shift occurs. This awakening is already taking root in pockets around the world, from grassroots movements advocating for financial reform to online communities where members share tips and strategies for protecting their wealth. The momentum is building. Let me share a personal anecdote. A few years ago, during a particularly turbulent time in the markets, I attended a small conference on financial independence. Amid the discussions about digital currencies and high-tech solutions, a seasoned investor stood up and said, "When everything goes digital, the only thing that matters is what you can hold. If you can't touch it, you can't trust it." His words resonated with me then, and they still do today. It's a reminder that while innovation is exciting, it's the tangible, time-tested assets that truly safeguard our future. Humor in hard times now. Before we get too serious, let's lighten the mood for a moment. I once joked that if I were to design a gold and silver Olympics, the opening ceremony would feature athletes parading in gold-plated sneakers and silver medals so heavy that they'd have to be hoisted by a crane. The punchline? At least in our games, every event is a medal event. While it's a bit of silliness, it underscores an important point. The humor we find in these discussions is not a dismissal of the stakes at hand, but a way to cope with the reality that our financial future is anything but certain. Laughter, after all, is one of the most human responses to an unpredictable world. The argument for gold and silver isn't just a niche opinion. It's echoed by economists, financial analysts, and even central banks around the world. Consider the insights shared in recent articles from major publications. For instance, Bloomberg has reported on how central banks are quietly increasing their reserves in gold as a hedge against market volatility. Similarly, Forbes has featured interviews with renowned investors who emphasize that, in times of crisis, tangible assets are the safest bet. These voices, coming from across the spectrum of financial expertise, reinforce the notion that while digital currencies are here to stay, they are not without their vulnerabilities. A recent tweet by Market Insights summed it up perfectly. In a world of digital uncertainty, physical gold and silver remain the ultimate insurance policy. This isn't just catchy rhetoric, it's backed by data and historical precedent. Numerous studies have shown that when fiat currencies collapse or become unstable, the value of physical gold and silver not only holds steady, but often appreciates, providing a critical lifeline for those who have the foresight to invest in them. In closing, I want to remind you that this journey toward financial independence is not one you have to take alone. Across the globe, there are communities rising up, educating themselves, and demanding a financial system that truly works for the people. Whether you're a seasoned investor or someone just beginning to question the status quo, your steps toward reclaiming your financial future matter. As we continue to navigate these turbulent economic waters, let's keep our focus on what truly matters: the freedom to make choices for ourselves and our families, the ability to secure our futures, and the resilience to stand strong in the face of uncertainty. Gold and silver are more than just commodities. They are the physical embodiment of stability, a safeguard against the unpredictable tides of modern finance. I hope this conversation has sparked something within you, a curiosity, a resolve, or perhaps even a call to arms. The time to act is now. As the old saying goes, don't put all your eggs in one basket. In our case, it means diversifying your wealth, not just across digital platforms and fiat currencies, but into the timeless value of gold and silver. Thank you for staying with me through this extended discussion. I encourage you to share your thoughts on social media using the hashtag financial sovereignty and join the growing movement of individuals who are reclaiming their economic power. Remember, in the end, it's not about creating an adversarial us versus them scenario. It's about uniting to build a system that truly works for all of us. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and above all, keep securing your future. This is Lynette Zang signing off, reminding you that in the realm of wealth and power, the tangible will always triumph over the transient, and our collective future depends on the choices we make today.
Stay informed about the latest developments shaping the precious metals markets with regular updates from the Finance Daily team. Not only that, but as a subscriber, you'll also receive timely silver and gold price notifications and early access to groundbreaking news unavailable to the general public. Join our free gold and silver newsletter today, link in the description.